the video anytime. So as we get into some medium examples, I'll have this recording for you. I'll put it on my YouTube page. All right, so here we want to find angle 1 first. So remember, this little triangle on the left has 180 degrees on it. So I will take 180 and subtract 84 and subtract 66, and that leaves me with 30 for angle 1. I think the easiest way to get into another triangle when triangles side by side like this is to simply just do a half circle there. 180 minus 84, and so angle 3 is 96. As you saw here, I did not go in order. You don't have to go in order. You just work the puzzle any way you want and answer the questions. As long as you can get the answers, you're good. So then I know this triangle is 180, and I have 2 angles. So I take 180 minus the 96 minus the 43, and that angle 2 is 41, and the puzzle is done. Okay. So number 5 is very, very similar to it. A lot of people just forget that anytime you see a box, just remember that it represents a number. A lot of us like to see the number, but when the box is there, just know that it represents a number. So I'm going to find angle 1 exactly how I started the next triangle, the triangle before this. I'm going to take 90 and 43. Subtract that from 180, and I get 47. Okay, so angle 1's 47. Another way to get that angle 2 is to identify your linear pair there on that straight line, and that means angle 2 is 137. That's supposed to be a 7, sorry. So angle 2 is 137. And now in this triangle, I take 180 minus 12 and 137, and I get 31. So I wouldn't necessarily think that these puzzles are difficult, just maybe you haven't seen them before. So hopefully you guys are seeing that the only real tools I used there was linear pair half circles out up to 180. And the interior sum of every triangle is 180. So didn't really use any kind of new tool there. So number 6, something new here is you have a triangle that is corner to corner, meaning that you should have vertical angles here. And angle 2 should be 61. So make sure you remember that, and all of you, I'm sure you do. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and find angle 1 by taking 180 minus the 61 and 68. And I get 51 for angle 1. Make sure you remember that this represents a number 90. Now I can say 180 minus 90 and minus 61 will get me angle 3 is 29. So let me pause and see if you have any questions yet. All right, so BC bisects. So that means BC cuts something in half. So BC is basically like a knife cutting something in half. Okay, what's it cut in half? It cuts in half ACD. Now let me help you remember how to identify an angle. You start at A, you go down to C, from C to D is where you end. So we are talking about that 90-degree angle. That's the one that's ACD. So that means that 3 and 2 are the angles that are equal. So we're cutting the 90 in half into 2 45s. So that's what our knife did with that right angle. And then the rest is just like we saw before. This top triangle is 180. And all I do is take 180 minus the 45 and minus the 48. And now I know angle 1 is 87. Okay, you see this relationship here? Just want to make sure you guys see it. That this isn't a half circle, right? That's not a perfect half circle. That's not a straight line. So I cannot say 1 and 4 add up to 180. So just make sure you catch that. The way to get angle 4 is to know that this triangle is 180. So all I do is take 180 minus that 45 that I already said angle 3 was, subtract the 83, and angle 4 is 52. All right. So this one's pretty tough here. Something little different is a little funky way of how they connected these triangles. There's no vertical angles in there. I hope you see that. So let me show you how you would do something like this. I am going to use my simple tool to find angle 1 by taking 180 minus 75 and minus 41. And that makes angle 164. So I don't know if you see that and can recognize that, but angle 2 is actually outside of a triangle. So I can't really include it in one of my triangles, but I want you to know you can do this. Now in that half circle, it doesn't matter how many little angles are in there. If you see a straight line with a half circle on it, that half circle always equals 180. And that's what you gotta see to get angle 2. Because this one's 90, that means these two must add up to 90 to make the 180. So if I take 90 minus 64, I'm going to find angle 2. So angle 2 is 26. So that's something you haven't really seen a whole lot of, is using that half circle and when there's multiple angles in it, but it still adds up to 180. And angle 3 can be found by taking the 90 and the 54 away from 180. So hopefully that wasn't too bad. So you can watch this video anytime you need to. Okay, algebra. How do you solve for x here? You have 3 angles within a triangle, so they must add up to 180. So combining like terms, I have 11 and 9 make 20x, make the 5 make 25x. I got negative 21 plus 3 is negative 18. Minus another 2 would be negative 20. And they're inside a triangle, so it has to equal 180. That's where the equals 180 comes from. Solve it, add that 20 over. Divide by the 25, and I get x is 8. So down here, anytime it wants an x, you would just give it an x, but make sure you know, and you should know by now, if it wants an angle measurement, you got to plug that 8 back in. So I'll just give angle D. So now it's 5 times 8, which is 40 minus 2. So angle D would be 38. And when you get these two numbers, these should all add up to 180 because they're the 3 angles inside of a triangle. Algebra with the exterior angle theorem. Okay, so here is your exterior angle. How do I know this is the exterior angle theorem? Because it's a triangle and one angle is outside. One marked angle is outside. Okay, these are the two remote angles, the ones that don't touch that outside angle. We are not going to use 180 here. We're going to use the exterior angle theorem. The exterior angle theorem says that one outside angle must be equal to the two remote angles added together. So I'm going to say 13x and 4x makes 17x, and then 1 and negative 11 make negative 10. And this is the problem I would set up to solve with the exterior angle theorem. We're going to subtract that 17 to make it 1x over here. Move that negative 15 over to be 1x equals 5. Now you guys have got to remember how to read angles. I'm going to do this one more time on how to identify which angle is CAB. Which angle is CAB? So remember, you want to start at C and go to A, and then the last letter is from A to B. That angle is what it eats. So this angle is what the mouth eats. Therefore, this is the expression I'm going to use for CAB. So that would be 13 times 5 minus 11. So 65 minus 11 would be 54. So that's how you would read that.